So now, uh, uh, so we find that Portia was deliberately playing on uh, our Shylock. She was rather giving Shylock a chance to raise his humanity, his humane behavior. He was taking him to the extremes to prove before the court, to prove before the Duke and everybody in the court that this is an inhuman person, a fiendish person, and he needs the worst treatment. That's what she will come a little later with. But now, at the present moment, uh, she is playing on it, and Shylock is very much happy that the judge or rather the lawyer who had really come to defend our Antonio was virtually forced to take his side because the law is on his side and he will go according to the law. So he says, "'Tis very true, O wise judge, how much more elder thou art than thy look. So you look so young, but you are so matured. You are so very matured. You look younger, but actually you have a very matured mind. You know the law and you know how to work with the law. So you cannot break the law." So Portia says, "Therefore lay bare your bosoms." Ah, his breast. So says the bond. So Shylock thinks that he has taken the upper hand now. So he says, "Well, I think not only the bosom, it's his breast near to his heart. That is what the bond says. Nearest to those are the very words. It is so. Are there balance here to weigh the flesh? So does the court have a balance so that the flesh can be properly weighed? A pound. Pound is roughly, say, 450 grams. Around about that. And Shylock is saying, I have them ready. Have some surgeon. Shylock, on your charge. Now she is slowly turning the table. She is slowly turning the table. Well, have some surgeons ready. Shylock, on your charge, to stop his wounds lest he do bleed to death. You must have some surgeons so that who can stop the wounds. Otherwise, he may bleed to death. That is what Shylock wants. Shylock wants to get rid of Antonio. So Shylock can never think of such a thing. So he says, is it nominated in the bond? Is it so nominated in the bond? It is not so expressed. But what of that? 'Twere good you do so much for charity. See, she's playing on a different tune that you will realize a little later. Where she is trying to take Shylock. She is trying to deliberately prove before the court that Shylock's intention is not the bond, but to kill, to murder, to get rid of Antonio, which is a criminal offense, even in Venice. So that is what she's slowly driving it to. So that we will come to later. And Shylock doesn't know so much law. So, well, it is not written in that way. But what so? 'Twere good you do so much for charity. At least you do so much for charity. You should be more humane in your behavior. I cannot find it. 'Tis not in the bond. So sorry, I cannot find it. So I'm not I'm not bound by it. You merchant, have you anything to say? Now Portia goes to another thing. But little Antonio says, well, have you anything? I'm armed and well prepared. Give me your hand, bosom. Bassanio, fare you well. Grieve not that I am fallen to this for you. See, Bassanio, you are my best friend. And, well, I'm falling for your cause. But don't be afraid of that. Don't at all be afraid of that. Hey, I'm sorry. Don't at all be sorry about that. Don't feel sorry. Uh, don't, for herein fortune shows herself more kind than is her custom. I would say that I am fortunate. Fortune is showing me to be more kind, that I am being able to give myself up for my friend. I'm ready to give my life for my friend, which is something that is a blessing for me. So don't grieve. That is a custom. Normally, fortune doesn't favor people. But here I feel that I have fortune's blessings. 'Tis still her use to let the wretched man outlive his wealth, to view with hollow eye and wrinkled brow an age of poverty. Well, it can so happen, Antonio says, that a man who has, well, at one time of his life, he loses all his wealth and he lives a poor and wretched life, suffering very, very badly. He can have that. At least I am better off that I have lost my wealth, and before much suffering I'm going to die. So I won't have to be indebted to anyone anymore and anything like that. So to view with a hollow eye and wrinkled brow means an old man with hollow eye and wrinkled brow at his age of poverty, suffering at the oldest age when he needs money. From which lingering penance of such misery doth she cut me off. So from that suffering, at least fortune has cut me off. My God. কি হচ্ছে বলো তো? Hello? Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Do you have any network issue?
there was a network issue, but I think it's
Okay.
working fine now. Okay, so let's
Yeah,
continue.
sir.
Let's continue. I'm having a problem with this computer. Okay, so from at least from that suffering, our fortune has cut me off. That I don't have to suffer like that. Commend me to your honorable wife. Tell her the process of Antonio's end. Say how I loved you. Speak me fair in death. My only request is tell your wife about me. How I had tried to help you. And how, for your sake, I was forced to die. And now, well, okay, so tell your wife. Tell what is true about me. Be fair about me. That how I loved you so much. And when the tale is told, bid her be judge whether Bassanio had not once a love. And when your tale is told, tell her that Bassanio had a true friend who loved him. Repent, but you shall lose your friend, and he repents not, that he pays your debt. I know you will repent that you lose a good friend. That is true. But I don't repent because I have paid your debt. So I don't repent for that. For if the Jew do cut me deep enough, I'll pay it instantly with all my heart. Because if I pay with all, what should I say? If the Jew cuts very near to my heart, as is mentioned in the bond, he's cruel enough to do that, then there is very much chance that I will die. Bassanio, Antonio, I am married to a wife which is as dear to me as life itself. But life itself, my wife, and all the world are not with me esteemed above thy life. So that is what he says. Well, Antonio, he doesn't know that Portia is just beside him. He doesn't know that, Bassanio. And he's speaking all big things. Bassanio is a very light character in that sense. Well, he loves Antonio. I won't say that he doesn't love Antonio. He loves Antonio. But he is a more light-minded type, as you have seen in the rest of the play before. So, well, I am married to a wife. I love her very much. But I would say she is not of that esteem as your life. I loved it. Bassanio is trying to please Antonio in that sense. Well, maybe he's speaking all his heart out. But he must understand what he is speaking. The moment you are married, you have a, responsibility to your wife, your love. So, wife is your better half. So, naturally, you have to have your feelings, and nothing can be better than that. Nobody can come in that place. I would lose all, I sacrifice them all here to this devil to deliver you. I would lose all means, what he's wanting to mean? Well, I would lose all my wealth, even my wife, to this devil in order to save your life, to deliver you. That's something not any wife would be happy to hear. And Portia says, your wife would give you little thanks for that if she were by to hear you make the offer. And Portia, in a joking tone, says, well, what I feel is that if your wife was near, this is dramatic irony for Bassanio. Bassanio doesn't know that his wife is nearby. So, well, see, if your wife was nearby, she wouldn't have felt happy about that if she were by to have heard about you. And now Graciano thinks that, well, I have another duty to show. Another very, very light character without much feelings. I have a wife who I protest I love. I would she were in heaven so she could entreat some power to change this currish shoe. Look at what rubbish Graciano is speaking. Graciano is a very, very light and feelingless character. That type of some sort of a, what should I say, a joker type of a character. So he says, well, I have a wife and I love her too. But I would prefer that she was dead and in heaven so that she could change this whole situation. So now she is thinking that I should say something bigger than Bassanio. I should say something more than what Bassanio has said. So I have a wife and if I would prefer that she was dead so that she could be above in heaven with God and change the whole decision. Entreat some power to change this currish, this dog-like Jew. Nerissa is there and she cannot, he doesn't know that his wife is there. 'Tis well you offer it behind her back, the wish would make else an unquiet house. Well, I feel that you have said behind her, which actually, by principle, you shouldn't have said. That's what she's going to say. You shouldn't have said that. Well, you have talked behind her all these rubbish, And it's good that she didn't hear, otherwise, you would have a very disturbed house. Your wife wouldn't at all have been happy with this. Shylock aside, these be the Christian husbands. I have a daughter. Oh, yeah, for the first time we find that Shylock is speaking the truth. For the first time. Aside is a dramatic technique. See, aside, soliloquy, these are dramatic techniques. Not used much nowadays. Not preferred in modern day drama. It's thought to be very impractical. But Shakespeare, being a great dramatist, had made use of these things very much. Soliloquy is loud thinking. You speak your mind out when you are alone. Normally when you are alone. Actually you are not speaking, you are thinking, but thinking aloud so that the audience can understand your mind. Shakespeare has some immortal soliloquies. Hamlet is the most famous drama, has some immortal soliloquies. So has Macbeth and other plays. Some immortal soliloquies that have made Shakespeare famous. But then Shakespeare was a great workman who knew how to work with his tools, who could give a new shape to his thinking. And aside is another technique where the actor takes his mouth a little bit away from the others to speak very softly. The intention is that the other characters won't hear it and the other character doesn't hear it. Actually, he's speaking again like a soliloquy. So and the other characters are present. In soliloquy, normally soliloquy is spoken in an empty stage. Only one character is there. But for an aside, the other characters are there and they are not supposed to listen to hear what he's trying to say. And he's trying to say because he's trying to give an idea of his mind. He's trying to give an idea of his mind to the audience so that the audience can understand what he is feeling, but not the other characters around him. This is not a very proper, normally in normal life we don't behave in that way. So that is why it was discarded in modern stage. But then Shakespeare had made some immortal use of these. These be the Christian husbands. You call them, these are the Christian husbands. You are talking. This is what the behavior of the Christian husbands. They are not faithful to their wife. For them, their wife doesn't have any position. I have a daughter. Would any of the stocks of Barabbas had been her husband rather than a Christian? So, I would say even a useless person, if he was my daughter's husband, would have been better than a Christian. And really we understand that Lorenzo, I think that's his name. What's his name? Jessica's husband? I'm forgetting his name. Lorenzo. So then Lorenzo is really a worthless person, spendthrift, wasted money, and all these things. We trifle time, I pray thee, pursue sentence. Now, after that, he's coming to the real part. Means the aside is over. Now he's saying, see, he's asking the court, we are wasting time. I think we should carry out the sentence. Portia says, a pound of that same merchant's flesh is thine, the court awards thee, the law doth give it. So Portia again pronounces, oh, she is slowly preparing the court for it. Slowly she's preparing the court. She says, a pound of the merchant's flesh. The court awards you according to your bond, and the law doth give you permission to take it. Most rightful judge, and you must cut this flesh from off his breast. The law allows it, the court awards it. Again, according to the law, you can cut it from his flesh, from near his breast, because that's what has been written in the bond, and the court allows it, and the law also awards it. Most rightful judge, most learned judge, assent is. Now this is dramatic irony. We will understand a little later. A sentence come prepare. Tarry a little, just wait. Now Portia is trying to show herself. Just wait. Don't be in such a hurry. There is something else. This bond doth give thee here no jot of blood. The words expressly are a pound of flesh. Then take thy bond, take thy pound of flesh, but in cutting it, if you dost shed one drop of Christian blood, thy lands and goods are by the law of Venice confiscate unto the state of Venice. Well, just wait a minute, listen. The law permits you to take a pound of flesh. There is no doubt about that. There is absolutely no doubt about it that you can take it. But the bond never mentions that even you can take even a drop of blood. So if you shed a drop of Christian blood, all your land and goods, everything by the law of Venice will be confiscated, will be taken away from you by the government of Venice unto the state of Venice. So it will belong to the state of Venice. O upright judge, mark Jew, O learned judge. So he is such a learned judge, mark Jew. Now Graciano understands the game that Portia has been playing so far. Now he understands. So he says, he is now returning the words what Shylock had said. So wait, now look. This is the most upright judge. You talked about that. Now Shylock is taken back. But it's impossible to cut flesh without dropping a shed of blood. It's impossible. Is that the law? Thyself shall see the act, for as thou urgest justice, be assured thou shalt have justice more than thou desirest. Yes, that's the law, and you wanted the law in the most hardest manner. And you will find the law in the most hardest manner. You will find it. Don't worry. You will get justice. And a justice you will get that you may not like it. It's beyond your desire. You may not dream of such a justice. Oh, learned judge, oh, mark, Jew, a learned judge. So Graciano is playing on that. I take this offer then, pay the bond thrice and let the Christian go. Well, I don't need the flesh. You, as I had been offered, give me 3 times the offer and I'll let the Christian go. Bassanio says, here is the money. Portia says, soft. The Jew shall have all justice. Soft, no haste. He shall have nothing but the penalty. The Jew wanted the law. He wanted to execute the law in the most hardest and inhuman manner. Law cannot be inhuman. Portia had said that forgiveness and all these things are a very, very positive part of law. So law cannot be inhuman. So, he says the law will be executed in the most in or rather so no haste. He wanted the justice, he will get justice. And Graciano knows that he has taken the Jew on the weak side. O Jew, an upright judge, a learned judge, therefore prepare thee to cut off the flesh. Shed thou no blood, nor cut thou less no more, but just a pound of flesh. And what you said, I will take a pound of flesh. You won't be able to take even a drop of blood, you cannot shed, and not even a little more or little less. You cannot do that. You take a little more, then you return it to the body, you cannot do that. That is not permitted by the bond. So you have to just cut 400 or your 1 pound. That is impossible. Shylock knows you cannot be that accurate. If thou takest more or less than just a pound, be it so much as make it light or heavy in the substance or the division of the 20th part of one poor scruple, nay, if the scale do turn, but in the estimation of a hair thou diest, and all thy goods are confiscate. So if you take even a little more or less, even a 20th part of your weight, or let us say even by the estimation of a hair, if you take it, a little as even as heavy as a hair, if you take more flesh, you will die, because you are not permitted by the law to do that. And all your wealth will be taken by the state's coffer. A second Daniel, a Daniel Jew. See, I told you, Daniel had ultimately given the judgment not for the elderly people. And so that is why Daniel is taken to be, believed to be, a very, very upright judge. So he's telling a second Daniel. You were talking about Daniel. See, here is the second Daniel. Now, infidel, I have you on the hip. Now, I have you on the hip means have you at your weak point. At your weak point. Now, here you are. Why doth the Jew pause? Take thy forfeiture. So why are you hesitating? Take the forfeiture. Shylock, give me my principal and let me go. I don't need any interest. I don't need 3 times. Just give me my principal and let me go. I have it ready for thee. Here it is. He hath refused it in the open court. We had offered it. We had offered it 3 times and all, more than that even. He had refused. He had refused it in the open court. So he cannot take it. So he shall have merely justice and his bond. He will have justice and his bond. That is what he wanted. A Daniel, still I say, a second Daniel. I thank thee, Jew, for teaching me that word. I thank thee that you taught me this great word about Daniel. Yes, here is a Daniel. Shall I not have barely my principal? Can I have not my principal even? Thou shalt have nothing but the forfeiture to be so taken at thy peril, Jew. So you will have nothing but the forfeiture to be taken at that peril. Why then? The devil gave him good of it. I will stay no longer. I will stay no longer question. So then let him enjoy all my wealth. I don't need it. I won't take. I won't stay here anymore. Portia has now taken him at a weak point. Tarry, Jew, the law hath yet another hold on you. It is enacted in the laws of Venice. If it be proved against an alien, Shylock is an alien. A Jew's natural home is not Venice. So it's not Venice. So naturally, he is an alien. if it be proved against an alien that by direct or indirect attempts he seeks the life of any citizen of Venice, Antonio is a rightful citizen of Venice. So if he is aiming to take the life of a citizen of Venice, if it is proved, the party against the which he doth contrive shall seize one half of his goods, and the other half comes to the privy coffer of the state, and the offender's life lies in the mercy of the Duke only against all otherwise. So he says, well, the law of Venice says that if a foreigner attempts to take the life of a citizen, directly or indirectly, then the law of Venice is very harsh about it, and all half of his wealth will go to that citizen and the other half will go to the state, and his own life, the offender's life, in this case Shylock, will be at the mercy of the Duke. And it's only the Duke only who can say, in which predicament I say thou standest. Now you are standing at that danger, at that predicament. For it appears by manifest proceeding that indirectly and directly too thou have contrived against the very life of the defendant. That's why he had played about the surgeon and all these things. He had made the Jews say that, well, he will not provide surgeons. So it has been proved in the court that you have tried to take his life, and so your life is at the mercy of the Duke. The danger formerly by me rehearsed. So I had rehearsed it. I had told you before. I had given you a chance about a surgeon and all these things. Down therefore and beg mercy of the Duke. Beg your mercy for your life. Beg that thou mayest have to hang thyself, and yet thy wealth being forfeit to the state, thou hast not left the value of a cord. Therefore thou must be hanged at the state's charge. Graciano is, I told you, he's a very light type of cowboy. He can think about his wife's death and he can do anything. Now he's enjoying very much. He's a much light character than Bassanio. Bassanio is also light, but our Graciano is worse than that. So he said, beg yourself so that you can live and hang yourself, because you won't have money. So you cannot live. But even in order to hang yourself, you won't be able to buy your rope, and you will have to depend on the state to get a rope to hang yourself. That thou, the Duke says, that thou shalt see the difference of our spirit. I pardon thy life before thou ask it. The Duke says, see, this is the difference between the Christian and the Jews. A Jew is a heartless creature. See, he has sought the life of a Christian. But even though I can take your life, I won't take your life. I would. I'm forgiving you before even you ask it. And yet thy wealth being forfeit to the state, thou hast not left the value. For half thy wealth it is Antonio's, and the other half comes to the general state, which humbleness may drive into a fine. So one half of your wealth is with Antonio, and the other half comes as a fine to the state. Aye, for the state, not for Antonio. Nay, take my life and all, pardon not that. You take my house when you do take the prop that doth sustain my house. You take my life when you do take the means whereby I live. So See, a Jew loves money. His main business is borrowing, giving money to others for interest. Now he says that for him to be in a total loss of wealth is a horrible thing. So he says, well, it's better you take my life than you take all the means of living it. You take away everything for me. I am becoming a beggar. So it's no use leaving it. Uh, uh, Portia says, what mercy can you render him, Antonio? So what mercy can you show? Portia is trying to show how good Christians are. This is actually, what should I say, Shakespeare is possibly criticizing very carefully. He's criticizing the Christians. The Christians are trying to show off mercy. That's what, they're so merciful. They're so merciful. They're so humane as compared to the Jews. So what mercy can render him, Antonio? A halter gratis. Nothing else, for God's sake. Just a piece of a rope or a leather. Nothing else. As Graciano says. So please, my lord, the Duke, and all the court, to quit the fine for 1/2 of his good, I'm content. So I'm content to leave the 1/2 of the wealth. So he will let me have the other half in use. I will have other half, and I would say that you just give the fine off. So he will to render it upon his death unto the gentleman that lately stole his daughter, and that other half, once he dies, will go to Lorenzo, who had married his wife. So how good is the Christian? A worthless man ran away with his wife, with his daughter, and the daughter stole all his goods and went on spending it, buying monkeys and things like that, enjoying life, not at all willing to work. And now here he is taking advantage of the situation. He is making a future for Lorenzo. Two things provided more, that for his favor he presently become a Christian. And this is the worst thing I feel. This is the most horrible thing I feel. To steal one person of his religion. He will be forced to become a Christian. He can no longer remain a Jew. So if he agrees to that, otherwise all his wealth will be taken and all these things. And he may die also. So he will have to be forced. So this is forcibly, what should I say, trying to convert him to Christianity. There was no need for this. Not expected from Antonio. This is not expected from Antonio. Why did Antonio do that? Do you think this is true Christianity? Is this true love? Now, taking advantage of the situation, Antonio is playing with the whole thing. So if Shylock had taken his life, planned to take his life, he is trying to take his religion, the means, the belief, the faith with which he lived. He's trying to take away his religion, and that is not very commendable. The other that do record a gift here in the court of all he dies possessed unto his son and his daughter. So once he dies, he has to give it as a write it as a deed of gift that all his wealth will be given to his daughter and his son-in-law, Lorenzo. He shall do this, or else I do recant the pardon that I late pronounced here. So I would take away the pardon of life. So the Duke is again, the Duke who had shown so much goodness is not that good. He is also becoming inhuman. If he wanted to take his life, he has forcibly taken advantage of the situation and has taken away taking away his faith. The Duke could have stopped this. Well, you don't need to be a Christian, you remain a Jew. But no, that is something. Actually, Shakespeare is very, very slightly criticizing. Very, very slightly he is criticizing it. He's trying to point out the wrong side of Christianity. The wrong side of Christianity. Art thou content, Jew? What dost thou say? Portia says, I am content. He's in a very helpless state. He had committed a grave sin and he is suffering most dearly for that. Yes, there is no doubt that Shylock had committed the most gravest sin. But Antonio was absolutely not free. We must understand that very carefully. Antonio has spat on his gabardine. He has always insulted him in public, spoken all ill about him. So naturally, and Antonio wanted to spoil his business, whatever it is. So naturally, Shylock had developed an anger for him. Shylock had developed an anger for him. That's true. But then Shylock shouldn't have aimed to take his life. That is not commendable. That you cannot do. But what Antonio did, taking away even his basic faith, his belief, his religion, can that be commendable? Is it at all acceptable? I don't feel so. Clerk, draw a deed of gift. I pray you give me leave to go from hence. I am not well, send the deed after me. So you let me go and send the deed after me, I will sign it. Get thee gone, but do it. In christening shalt thou have 2 godfathers. Had I been judge, thou shouldest have 10 more to bring thee to the gallows, not to the font. Is that very light type? Now, the moment you become a Christian, you have 2 godfathers. Your earlier one, Jewish, and the Christian. And I believe that you should have 10 more to take you to the gallows, to take you to a death. Shylock is totally broken down. Totally broken down. The whole state had taken advantage of the situation. Yes, I'm again telling you, Shylock had done the gravest mistake. But still, Antonio shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have forcibly taken away even his religion. He has become a beggar. But what about his wealth once he loses? For many people, particularly the Jews, religion is a very important thing for them. So you must understand that. Duke, sir, I entreat you home with me to dinner. Well, I request you to come home with me to dinner. Portia knows that is risky. You cannot stay long. First of all, you have to return back. And secondly, if you stay, there is always chance that you may get caught. And if you get caught with the Duke, in front of the Duke, that is not good. I humbly do desire your grace of pardon. I must away this night towards Padua, and it is meet I presently set forth. So I have to go to Padua, and in order to do that, I have to start immediately. I'm sorry that your leisure serves you not. Antonio, gratify this gentleman, for in my mind you are much in bound to him. So satisfy this gentleman with all your wealth, how much fees he deserves, because your life is bound to him. You have been saved because of them. Exit Duke and his train. My most worthy gentleman. Now here is a. See, this is what Shakespeare does deliberately. After a very heavy scene, it was full of tension, full of thing. The whole stage and the audience was tensed. Now Shakespeare gives a little bit of comic relief. The lighter side of life. Portia didn't forget what your Bassanio said to Antonio, and neither did Nerissa. So now they are going to play with it. Most worthy gentlemen, I and my friend have your wisdom been this day acquitted of grievous penalties. So because of your wisdom, both my friend and I have been saved of the gravest suffering, penalties, in lieu whereof 3,000 ducats due unto the Jew, we freely cope your courteous pains withal. So that 3,000 ducats that was to be given to the Jew, I would like to give it to you, Antonio, and stand indebted over and above in love and service to everyone. But still I will stand indebted to you and everyone. Portia, he is well paid, that is well satisfied, and I, delivering you, I am satisfied. Portia says, money is not that important. Money is not always that important. If he is well satisfied, that is good enough. And therein to account myself well paid. So I am satisfied, so I don't need money. I am well paid. My mind was never yet more mercenary. And see, my mercenary means business-like. I had not come here to earn money, to do business. I had come here to help a person. I pray you know me when we meet again. I wish you well, and so I take my leave. I would only ask you that again if we meet, you should be able to recognize me. So I take your leave. Bassanio, dear sir, of force I must attempt you further. Take some remembrance of us as a tribute. Now he is asking for trouble. He's becoming over courteous. Bassanio is becoming over courteous. I would request you, please take something. Please, something as a tribute. Not as a fee. Grant me two things, I pray you. Not to deny me and not to pardon me. I would ask you, don't deny me, not pardon me. Shakespeare, I'm sorry, Portia knows, here I have to play with them. You press me far and therefore I will wield. Give me your gloves, I will wear them for your sake. And for your love, I'll take the ring from me, this ring, the marriage ring. Portia had said, never give it to anybody. So, give your gloves, I will wear it for you, and of course your ring. I'll take it. Do not draw. And the moment he said Grashanio drew his hands back, because he had promised Portia that he won't part his ring on any condition. So don't draw your hands back. I will take no more, and you in love shall not deny me this. You in love, you cannot deny me this. You offered me to take something. This ring, good sir, alas, it is a trifle. I will not shame myself to give you this. So this is just an insignificant thing, this ring. And I would ask you not to just waste yourself with that. Ask for something better. I will have nothing else but only this. And now methinks I have a mind to it. And now methinks I have a mind to take this ring. I will only take this ring. Their more depends on this than on the value. The dearest ring in Venice will I give you, and find it out by proclamation. Only for this I pray you pardon me. And he said that you don't pardon me. So he said that that's more. Even the costliest ring available in Venice, I will give it to you. The most declared thing, proclamation, that it is the costliest ring, I will give it to you. Only for this I pray you pardon me, but don't ask me this ring. I see, sir, you are liberal in offers. You taught me first to beg, and now methinks you teach me how a beggar should be answered. Okay, now I realize, Portia says. You are very liberal in offers. You offer me very liberally. You offer very liberally. And you tell me to beg. And then you teach me that how beggars should be treated. Good sir, this ring was given by me by my wife. And when she puts it on, she made me vow that I should neither sell nor give it nor lose it. So it was given by my wife, and she had made me promise that I can neither sell it nor give it nor lose it. That excuse serves many men to save their gifts. Portia says, well, I understand. This is a very good excuse. For the rhythm's sake, he has omitted the E. So that excuse many men use to keep their gifts to themselves. And if your wife be not mad woman and know how well I have deserved this ring, she will not hold out enemy forever. So, if your wife is not a mad woman, and she knows what great service I did to you, then she would not, she may be a little bit angry, but she would not hold it forever. For giving it to me, well, peace be with you. Well, peace be with you. She would not become my enemy just because I took it from you. Well, peace be with you. And Portia and Nerissa lives. Antonio, my lord Bassanio, let him have the ring. Let his deservings and my love withal be valued against your wife's commandment. So, what he deserves, let us give it to him. And my love, let it be valued more than your wife's orders, commandment. Commandments means advice, orders, like that. Then Bassanio knows it's useless. Go, Graciano, run and overtake him, give him the ring and bring him, if thou canst, unto Antonio's house. Away, make haste. So go and run and give it to him, the ring. Now he falls into the trap. Exit Graciano, come you and I thither presently, and in the morning early we will both fly to Belmont. Come, Antonio. So come, and in the morning, early morning, we will go to Belmont. Scene 2 that finishes this act, very important act, one of the most important acts of the play. Portia inquired the Jew's house, give him this deed and let him sign it. We will away tonight and be a day before our husband's home. This deed will be welcome to Lorenzo. So, get the thing, let it be signed by the Jew, and this will be a very good gift to Lorenzo. We will go back home and reach there before our husbands come, and it will be a very good gift to Lorenzo. Graciano, fair sir, you are well overtaken. My lord Bassanio, upon more advice, hath sent you here this ring, doth entreat your company at dinner. Well, sir, I have finally overtaken you. And upon more advice, Graciano is ready to part with the ring. And he doth request you to come to dinner. That cannot be. His ring I do accept most thankfully. But since he has given me the ring, I would most accept it thankfully. And so I pray you tell him. Furthermore, I pray you show my youth old Shylock's home. And I would tell you, please, my assistant Nerissa, my youth, you show him Shylock's house so that he can sign the bond. This will I do. Sir, I would speak with you, Nerissa says. I'll see if I can get my husband's ring, which I did make him swear to keep forever. Well, I will also try and get my husband's ring. This is to show that how these men are inconstant in their nature. They are inconstant. Thou mayest, I warrant, we shall have old swearing that they did give the rings away to men. We will outface them and outswear them too. Away, make haste. So we will do it. And they will outface and outswear before us and all these things. Thou knowest where I will tarry, where I will be. Come, good sir. Will you show me to his house? He tells Nerissa, and all is well, and that ends Act 4. So Act 5 is the final finishing act that we will do. Okay? So I think we can conclude up to here. We did quite up to an important part. Okay? Just 1 minute.